Okay folks, welcome back. This is your old pal HONDO doing another video for you on another fishing product. It's on the LEW'S Spincast Slab Shaker combo. We're going to go through what I like and what I don't like about this rod and reel combo and tell you why I don't recommend it. This is the Slab Shaker combo. It's about a 5-foot rod and reel. Now the rod in itself is graphite, and it has these little steel on eye guides, and it's about 5 foot. It has this really nice Evo handle that screws into the reel foot right here. Really nice. Really the only thing great about this combo is the rod. I think the rod is really good. It has a really sensitive tip, as you can see. I think this two-piece rod is really good. The rod also comes in a 6'6" rod. Also comes with a 5'6" rod and a 7-foot rod. This is the more budget line. It runs about $35 to $26 at Walmart or online. I think the rod is far better than the reel on this combo. I'm just going to say it. The reel is junk. The reel is about the same price point as the ZEBCO 33 micro and some of the Diawa ultralight reels and some of the Shakespeare synergies, which those are far better reels than this one, and I'm going to tell you why. Okay, now we got the rod out of the way. The reel is 4:1:1 gear ratio, where most of the ZEBCOs and Shakespeare synergies and the ZEBCO 33 micros and the 11s and whatnot and the micro reel categories are 4:6:1 gear ratio, but this one is 4:1:1 gear ratio. It is a lightweight micro reel. The body on it is graphite, and it has a steel cover, and it is a helix gear system, and it's also ambidextrous from right to left. So you could either, if you're a right-hander, you could put it on right. If you're a left-hander, you could put it on left. It has a nice little handle crank. A single handle crank. Also, the slab shaker combos come with a spinning reel as well, and a yo-yo jigging reel as well. I recommend you to get the if you're going to buy the slab shaker combo, to get the spinning reel over the spincast reel, because the spincast reel is garbage, and I'm going to tell you why. Various reasons. It's really crunchy when you're reeling it. It's not as smooth as a ZEBCO 33 or a Shakespeare Synergy or a Diawa or a Fluger. It's got a very slow retrieval, and sometimes when you're reeling it all day long and casting it, the reel gets even more crunchy. And another thing I do not like about this reel is the drag. The drag on this is almost nil to void on it. I mean, sometimes when I'm tightening it up, when I'm trying to reel it in and trying to drag my line and my bait back in through a lot of muck, it'll start going like that, and you can't tighten it up all the way so it can help you pull your line through the water, through the muck and the weeds, because even with it on its highest max setting of drag, it still makes a weird noise, and it's almost impossible to drag your bait through the weeds and stuff. It's really bad about that. The drag on this is not good at all. I mean, the drag really sucks on this. Just going to say it, but for maintenancing, it's a nightmare as well. If you're trying to maintenance it, we're going to take off the top here. One of the main reasons why it's a nightmare over maintenancing another type of reel is when you take the spinner cone off of this. What happens is that this pickup pin, which it only has one pickup pin, will go all the way to the other side of the reel, where this was just a ZEBCO. It would stay in place until you put the spinner head back on, and it would go on that way. Literally, to put the spinner head back on this, you have to go push it like so all the way to the end there, and hope that you can grab a hold of this little pickup pin, hold it in place like this, and lay it on top of the pinion gear and try to screw it back into place without it falling over. And it does come pre-spooled with some Mr. Crappie line, 4-pound test, and that's how you put the spinner cone back on it. Other than that, I have no issue with it, but that's a problem when you're trying to maintenance this reel, that you literally got to hold that pickup pin to get it back on there, and that's a pain in the butt. And another thing I do not like about this reel compared to a ZEBCO 33 micro or 11 or Synergy, like when you're trying to respool this line on here, and I've had this for about 2 years, and I've respooled the line on this several times. When you have it mounted to the rod and you're putting the line through the eye and trying to get the line on top of this in the spool, sometimes when you're trying to pull it tight, this whole reel will pop out like that, and the button will fall out like that, and then you're going to have to try to jimmy the button back into place, and it happens more often than not. It's one of the real big quirks I have about this reel. When you're trying to rethread it with new line, it does that constantly, and it's irritating. And another thing about this reel too, it has a helix gear system, like many ZEBCOs or most of those reels. These gears do not move. Even if you take the screw out and the handle out, these gears, you cannot remove the gears at all to clean it or maintenance it. So basically, if you're wanting to maintenance this reel, you're going to have to leave the gears in place and take a toothbrush and clean it out and re-grease it. And it does have one ball bearing, and it's not a bad reel, but it's not a great reel. I really do not like this reel at all. The drag is what really does it to me, because even if I have it set to the max setting on the drag here, with most of the other models of reels, you could set it to the max drag setting and it would lock the spool into place. This one doesn't lock the spool in place even if you have it on the highest setting. I mean, it's tight, but it's not tight, and that's a problem when you're fishing in if you're fishing in a lot of weeds. You want to tighten your drag up as tight as it'll go to lock the spool in place so you can get your bait out of the weeds, and it just doesn't lock the spool in place. But the drag does work. It's not a horrible drag, but it's not a great drag, to be honest. Like I said, the only saving grace with this reel is that the rod that came with it is a really good rod. The rod is really good, and but the reel, on the other hand, is atrocious. The drag is just not functional basically in this reel. I don't like it. Some people may like it. I mean, if you're wanting to give this to a kid, I wouldn't give this to a kid. For the same amount of money, I would recommend you to buy the ZEBCO 33 micro over this one. It's a far better reel. The drag's a lot better in the ZEBCO and in the Shakespeare Synergy and the Diawa ultralight spincast combos. But this reel is complete and utter garbage. Some people may like it, but I don't, for maintenance standpoint and trying to put line on it, and it's just a nightmare. But it does work. I've caught tons of fish on it over the 2 years I've owned it. I've caught trout. I've caught just about everything. The only thing that really is a flaw with this reel is when you're trying to use inline spinners. When you're casting the inline spinner, it doesn't have enough speed and gear ratio to reel it in fast enough for it to be effective for either pan fishing or fishing for trout. What this reel kind of excels at is bait. Basically, using worms and jigs. Vertical jigging is okay. It's very sensitive. Tip on the rod. It's okay for vertical jigging. Somewhat float fishing. It doesn't really have enough length for float fishing. So basically, it's a good dedicated bait fishing reel or a vertical jigging reel. If you're just using it to vertical jig around stumps and stuff for crappie and bluegills and stuff like that, it's okay for that. Or bait fishing for trout with dough bait and stuff like that. Other than that, I wouldn't recommend this reel at all. The rod maybe, but not the reel. The reel is completely, utterly garbage. I would recommend you to if you're going to buy the slab shaker, just buy the rod itself and get a ZEBCO 33 micro or a Fluger or something like that over this reel. This reel is trash. I don't know why LEW'S would even put their name on this reel. I'm not knocking. I'm not being paid to say that ZEBCO is better than this, but ZEBCO is better than this because I've used ZEBCO daily and I use a lot of spincast reels. I mean, even the older Johnsons are better than this reel. If you found this review on the slab shaker from Mr. Crappie, which is a LEW'S company, very informative. I don't recommend it. I wouldn't even give it to a kid. I would honestly, if I was for y'all to do, is I would buy a ZEBCO 33 micro combo over this one or something better than this one. There's plenty of companies that make fishing reels, but I would not recommend this one for anything, not even for a budget reel. This reel just doesn't work for me at all. Found this video informative. Please hit the like, share, and subscribe, and please give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment in the comment section, and I will get right back to you in them comments. This has been your old pal from Hillbilly Tactical, Andrew Hondo. Y'all know what you can do. You put God first. He puts you first every time. You know what else, YouTube? God loves you. So does Hondo. Peace out, YouTube.
Tell me pretty lies, look me in the face. Tell me that you love me, even if it's fake.